Michael Burry, the man who's been calling for one of the biggest stock market crashes in history, has just made a very bold statement. He's just sold out of nearly every single stock he owns. Now, one of my biggest criticisms of Michael Burry is that if you truly believe a major stock market crash is coming, then you wouldn't be investing in stocks, right? Well, up until now, Michael Burry maintained a stock portfolio to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. That is, until now. And so in this video, we'll be taking a look at Michael Burry's latest thoughts, insights and moves, and also his latest warning saying don't be fooled about the current rally going on in stocks and crypto. As always, if you do enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, always appreciated. Okay, first up, for anyone new to this story, let's just quickly start with what is Michael Burry's big crash prediction. And so essentially, in just one page, this is Michael Burry's big prediction. Back in 2021, he said, "People always ask me what's going on in the markets, and it's the greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things." He goes on to say, "All this hype and speculation is just drawing in retail before the mother of all crashes." And he says that the losses will approach the size of countries. And then just a couple of months ago, he's saying that for the first half in 2022, the S&P is now down about 25%, tech stocks down about 35%, and Bitcoin came down over 65%. And his prediction is that so maybe we're about halfway there. And since my last video, that is when we were about here in the S&P. And then over the last month, we've had this really nice rally where the S&P has been able to get back about half its losses. So does this mean that the big crash is over? Or is this just a bear market rally before another major crash comes? Well, and now is the latest from Michael Burry. He says NASDAQ in a bull market just because it's now up over 20% from its low. Who makes this stuff up? And he points out after the year 2000, the NASDAQ did this 7 times before it eventually fell close to 80%. So this was the great tech bubble and crash of 2000. And then he also makes the comparison in the great crash of 1929 as well. And he says, contrary to the internet and the Twitter sphere, there have been bear market rallies that have gone above 50% and then led to a lower low. And he points out a couple here, April 1930. So in the great 1929 crash, we had this initial big sell-off here, and then it retraced over 50%. And then in 1935, we saw another big recovery. There was another major crash over a year and a half, and again, it retraced back above 50%. And his big point is that it eventually came down to major lows. And it all depends on how you define a bear market rally, as there's many people out there that say if the market goes up over 20%, then you're actually in a bull market. So it does depend on how you personally define a bear market rally and or a cycle. And finally, back again to the tech bubble of 2000. He says the NASDAQ retraced over 50% and went lower in September 2000 and January 2002. So we can see a big major crash here, and he says there's a rally that goes above the 50%. And again, we have this crash down here. We have this rally back over 50% before it goes on to a bigger major crash. And his latest insight is the speculation we saw in the markets in 2021 is only possibly matched by 1929 and the NASDAQ in 2000. And as you saw, both retraced over 50%, but it didn't stop their eventual collapse. So essentially what he's saying is that don't be fooled by this current rally going on right now in stocks, and the same thing for crypto. He says in the biggest crashes of the last 100 years, 1929 and year 2000, both had rallies in the middle of over 50%, yet both ended up having much bigger crashes before the final bottom was in. And to finish up, what's really interesting is that we've just had the news that Michael Burry has sold out of 99% of his stocks. And finally, we get the actions of someone who believes a major crash is imminent. And so this was Michael Burry's portfolio, his hedge fund Scion Asset Management, in Q1 this year, 2022. And it always seemed to me very strange that if someone genuinely believes a major crash is coming, then why would you have hundreds of millions of dollars in the market? Now, to be fair, 36 million was shorting Apple, but the rest, tens of millions invested in stocks. And then hot off the press, this is now what Michael Burry's portfolio looks like. This is Scion Asset Management in Q2. And he's sold out of 99%. He now just has one single position to the tune of 3 million. And this is in Geo Group. And interestingly, this company invests in mental health institutions. So is this a sign of what he's saying is to come? It's no secret the man famous for predicting the 2008 great financial crisis has been predicting another major crash over this past year. And so far in 2022, we've seen the S&P come down over 25% into bear market territory. And most recent, we've had a rally which has gained back half the losses. However, Michael Burry explains that even in the biggest crashes of the last 100 years, 1929 and 2000, it's very common to see rallies over 20%, sometimes over 50%, and still end up down over 80%. He believes this is happening right now, and for the first time since calling for the crash, he's actually sold out of nearly every stock he owns. And interestingly, only buying into a company which invests in mental health facilities, which also could explain what he thinks is coming next. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now tell me, what do you think about Michael Burry's latest moves? Let me know below. But for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.